It's my pleasure to give you some lecture. So actually, my major is communication and technology transfer to developing countries, especially as he mentioned about something, UN, framework on climate change. So, but my major is, in the bachelor and master and doctor is communication and public relations in the science and technology. That's why I really, focus is on focusing on something collaboration. So with the developing country, especially North Korea, also in a developing country, and then so our neighborhood is a neighborhood. I think so. So this study is, South Korean media toward the science and technology of North Korea in the era of Kim Jong-un. So my, research, it is actually, research paper on the Asian Journal of, Society for Innovation. So that's why it's mainly, it's text-based. That's quite boring for you, but I try to do my best anyway. So um, you know, communication is sometimes very important in science communication. Cause why science is the funding from text. It means people's text. That's why we should understand of the people's mind or thinking why or how they do thinking. So that's why I'm just researching on the science and technology in North Korea things on the toward the in the South Korean media. So there is as you know, so Dr. Kang Ho-jae, he always say that in North Korea science and technology is very important for the national growth and development. But so for South Korea and or around the Korean Peninsula, so it's very important to know how people understand or think of North Korea. But I'm focusing on the science and technology issues or topics on the media. So why? So people understanding or consensus is very important for collaboration with North Korean government or North Korea. So that's why I just focusing on the Korean media for their reflection of the science and technology in from the North Korea. So my paper is it's how understand from the public, and that's why the first of all I just quantitatively understanding of North Korean science and technology in South Korean media. Secondly, so I try to analyzing is from the framework, so from the media standard and or attitude from the media text, and then information source. Cause why it's very important information source. Cause why mainly from the Western news, mostly Korean government or North Korea directly we can get the the information from the North. So secondly, so I divided conservative governments and liberal governments for how they understanding of the there's a strategy or policy on the media. So it's a it's very important. So, Korean people, South Korean people, they think our collaboration with North Korea is important from the data in 2020. So this is, as I mentioned, so it's about firstly, it's about a tendency of South Korean media toward North Korean science and technology. So how to different than each other. So conservative press and progress civil press media. So secondly, in terms of news frame differences, the research topic is analyzed through a news analysis framework. And thirdly, regarding sources of information, the level of alignments of important informants in the news reporting is shown. So as you know, in North Korea, so every year, New Year, so chairperson of Kim Jong-un in North Korea, he's speaks highly preparatory on the science and technology. It's very important in economic development. And secondly, inter-Korean science and technology can cooperate on the different level. It's if the standard pace of international politics in the resolved in the future. So basically, science is, as I mentioned, funded from the tax, national tax. That's why so we should understand people's like thinking. And framing in the media research. So as I mentioned, so my major was communication. So SMCRE is a very traditional communication theory, but it's very important things. Source, message, channel, receiver, and effect. Source is like a sender, and channel is, as you know, so which channel, and receiver is like audience, who is the audience, and what is the effect. That's a is very traditional communication model, but there's a we can understanding of the media frame, sources, articles expressed as South Korean media. And then the media basically frame issues that they want to deal with. So it's a very, in media research, framing and media research is a very common. But is there in South Korea in a academic paper? There is so many, not so many, but it's a regular, data. North Korean reflection, North Korean issue is quite, progressive media. They are close to North Korea, but so I will, mention, but it's quite interesting result. Progressive media is quite very, how can I say, care of there's a voice, on the science and technology from the North Korea, and also, the source, and then the framework. There is a three big parts. First one is positive, second one is neutral, and finally negative. Then I will make it some sub parts. And source of the news information is quite interesting, because why, in USA, I checked some articles. So anonymous is quite high in South Korean media, because why, it's like a kadra 통신, and it means no, it's like a novel. So but because media, they have a trust based or information source, but anonymous report is quite high percentage in my research. So that's it makes a press like an on trust things. So it's a very important thing. So that's why I just mentioned about that, and then the analyzed. So three kind of things. The first one is um, how different, and what kind of trend of the media, topics on the media after Kim Jong-un era, during Kim Jong-un era, and secondly, frame, analyze, and information source. Suddenly, the government, the different governments, how to deal with them. And so I will, in this study, I selected 10 years from 2011 to 2012 one, because it's a period of Kim Jong-un. And I try to, gather the articles from the big kinds. It's like a Korean news, providing system. And also it's totally 321 articles gathered from the two newspaper. One of them is 동아일보. The other one is 한겨레 신문. 동아 is very conservative, and 한겨레 신문 is quite liberal. It means progressive. And then secondly, totally, and then I checked the filtered totally 154 cases were, extracted. So there is frameworks from the literature review, and I just modified for like from the some test interview from the experts of communication, and it's positive, neutral, negative is traditional category, but there is science and technology. It's articles on research achievement and people such as natural science, engineering, and industrial technology. And non-scientific technology, positive articles on politics, economy, society, and culture related to science and technology. Neutral and simple fact is articles on the delivering facts and information related to science and technology. There is a negative, strengthening science and technology articles focusing on the nuclear weapons, hacking, and military technology. And finally, non-scientific technology, negative articles on politics, economy, society, and culture related to science and technology. As a correlations to each other from the positive and negative, and the neutral is like a simple fact and there is a source information source from North Korea, secondly South Korea, overseas, and unnamed source is anonymous, and from the North Korean category, there is four, sub parts. Is the first one is Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-il, Kim Il-sung is a higher, a reader and highest reader in North Korea, and secondly, party and the government. Thirdly, media, and finally, in the private sector. And then second, South Korea, there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sector. Is the government, National Assembly, public and research institute, and media, and civil social organization, NGO, something, and finally, individuals. And overseas, there is international organization, UN or World Bank, something, and USA, China, Japan, Europe. That is information source category. So the first one, the finding is like as I mentioned, so 151 동안. So there is some more information. So I just calculating, and the trust measurement is I use Krippendorf alpha methodology. It's so I got the high correlations after news frame analyzing. Is very important for the methodology. So you can, so you get my framework, then you should use a Krippendorf methodology. And so as I mentioned, it's 170 articles from Hangul Shinmun, and then the total is 321. And there is 2012, 2013, and 2018 is a very high news paper and articles, cause why it's beginning of Kim Jong-un, and then they try to get some good mood with South Korea and the USA. Also 2018, so it was a good something nuclear weapon something event. And also politics, there is some frequency of the part. Is politics is 254 in South Korean media, and overseas in the 86 is totally 56.1%, and overseas 19%. It means it's a section of the newspaper. It means politics section is over 50% is very they dealing of the politics related to the articles. And there is a network analysis, is North Korea, and North Korean science and technology is big, and presidents and Korean Peninsula also USA. So you can find North Korea is related to science and technology. It's a very natural things, but China and USA is a big portion for the in the network analysis, and also Kim Jong-un. So just check it out, something. So but there is something Donghua Science is quite a different special media on the science and technology, and also Donald Trump and 박근혜, the former president. And then also it's analysis of related wars. There's a local and international society, 조선중앙통신, I don't know in English, Joseon Central Communication, and nuclear, something, and Kim Jong-un, Pyongyang, China, there's Inter-Korean Summit, UN Security Council. So we can find that some similar terms were reclassified in the next figure, showing that China nuclear testing, Korean Central News Agency, Kim Jong-un, South Korea, etc., as higher mentioned. And this is findings of the newspaper. It's positive categories. 동아일보 is 44%, mainly. Negative is also 38. It's nothing meaningful, but Hungary is a positive 64%. That's it's like unique. So from this data, so we can think Hungary is a progressive media. They are very close to the North Korean science and technology in this data. But after that, so we can see something interesting results. And there is a category, 동아일보 is a conservative media. There's mainly from South Korea, mainly from the public institute, maybe 통일연구원, Unification Institute, and also government is a very high in a portion. And the 한겨레 신문 is they are it's from the North Korea. There's they news providing is from North Korean media. Is quite difference between 동아 and 한겨레, and also totally South Korean media they use South Korean information source, and then also as overseas source is like mainly from the China conservative party, because why conservative they don't like China, but they use and also progressive party progressive media they use USA. It's quite it's very interesting, because why progressive media they close to the something it's a stereotype, but they don't like much USA because they have criticism media. So there's something interesting result. Yeah. And there is the findings conservative government, because why Kim Jong-un era they the governments of North Korea they firstly Moon Jae-in 박근혜 government is a conservative party, and Moon Jae-in government is a progressive government. But it's very interesting in 동아일보 there is a very positive in the 박근혜 government, and also 한겨레 also very positive in the 박근혜 government. Totally is very high, but 동아일보 is also negative things. So previous research 한겨레 경향신문 they are very close to North Korea and North Korea agenda, because why Progressive Party is very close, but this is quite interesting. But the Moon Jae-in government, 동아일보 is 40% negative, and 55%, over 55% is negative. Is a very a dramatic results the different governments. Because why some researcher, Dr. Byun Hang-won, he always say this, progressive media, they hate North Korean science and technology or North Korean, but it's a very huge data for his research, quite interesting. Then he gets some evidence to blame to the progressive media. It's a funny story. So in our coffee time. And also there's an interesting research from the conservative government. It's a Park Geun-hye government. They use don't usually use a South Korean information source, so mainly from the public institutes, maybe 통일연구원, Unification Institutes, and also 한겨레 they are 41% also it's very similar, but Moon government, the 동아일보 is 73% from the South Korean information source, and also NGO, and also Moon government in the 한겨레 is from the North Korea is quite different. So totally Korean government, Korean newspaper, they usually use South Korea information source, but it's North Korean information or media articles that they around the 50% is 45% around as they use the South Korean information source. Means the media is very important, is trust. So they just from the Korean news information. So we think about that. There is trust is quite yeah, and also overseas is almost similar the total 동아 한겨레 and the Moon government, but as I mentioned, 동아일보 is from the China is quite high position, and USA is quite big. And also Moon government 동아일보 is from the international organization, maybe sanctioned. That's why the information source is like a UN body, organizations, and then 한겨레 신문 is from the USA. So conclusion is it's very important because why the before research South Korean media, especially progressive media, they close to North Korea issue or agenda, but and the science and technology articles is quite different results as we are thinking in South Korean people. Then and also information source is quite unknown or it's very unclear. So that's why the dealing with the North Korean agenda in science and technology for South Korean media is quite the trust or something so legacy media is quite unclear. So it is so my first media research for North Korean technology things. So next times I try to find or some analyze USA media, or it's quite interesting because why it's quite different, and also German media they how they show about North Korean agenda. So I think the framework and information source that there is a framework that you can use for your paper or some essays. So it's like a not best model, but so you can use one of the news or media analyze. Thank you. So next.
Not the end of the whole lecture.
Yes.
You ended the first part about
yeah.
media,
So briefly,
yeah.
Briefly, as I mentioned, so media research is my major, but I focus on the not media, but I focus on the communication and for how can I say stakeholders for science and technology transferring. So it is inter-Korean cooperation on science and technology for response to climate change. And research question is it's very simple. UN SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Before it is MDGs. MDG is Millennium Development Goals. Before Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General, former Secretary General. So there is it's quite different. The Millennium Develop MDGs is like a very how can I say, very, how can I say, close to the poverty or something, it's a very urgent development goals. But sustainable development goals is like a second world development goals. So how different North Korean SDGs and then UN SDG report. So I just analyze what is different or from the policy of North Korea. And secondly, what is the North Korea's science and technology for like climate change things? So and how to there's goals linked to the UN SDG. And thirdly, UNFCCC, as Dr. Kang mentioned about the framework on Convention on Climate Change, is a Paris Agreement. It's 2000 maybe 15 and starting in 16. So it's like a global goals, as you know that. So we should reporting to UN. So, and this is national declarative contribution. It's like a reduction of greenhouse gas. So how to link to climate technology to the North Korea for our collaboration. So climate change is very important, and now is so these days the terminology of the climate change is like like a climate's hell nowadays. The people of South Korean or media, they before it climate's crisis, but now climate hell. So also North Korea there is a big difficulties, and there is something crisis in the land of North Korea. So there's a red is very important, and then the climate change crisis is very high, and also food security is quite weak. And there is a UNDP, cases. There is something, pilot projects. And UNDP is, there's a UN. They have something blah blah O blah 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 P blah 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 things is a different. There's a purpose of their action. So UNDP is the development program. Means it's very it's like interim organization, but it's now is still going on because why it's a development project they are supporting for the developing countries. So UNDP office in Pyongyang is quite big, and there's the activities are quite a lot, as like in a German embassy in Pyongyang also is big. But the UN is there is something interesting topic in the Pyongyang UNDP scandal. There is a USA spy that's into the UNDP center in Pyongyang. Is there is something the politics issue, but anyway, so UNDP they are developing developing something economics and something projects in the Pyongyang. As there is a food or rural area and something seed or further farming, and also the river ecosystem and resilience and disaster, risk management. They have something projects and then quite big. But now, as you know, there's sanction from the UN and USA, so it stopped all project of not urgent, urgent and urgent project is like a UNICEF or for fooding project, but for the development project is quite stopped from the sanction. And also UNIDO is Internet Industrial Development Organization. It's like their relations of the with something North Korea, like funding project and experts and technical expert exchange and machinery research before it is quite a long time ago. It's like 1992 they make it. And also UNSCAP is UN Economic Social Committee for Asian Pacific. It's like a branch office of Asia and Pacific in UN. So in Switzerland, they have UN Europe center, and also some in Bangkok is a UNSCCC headquarters. For they have a North Korean project a lot from the Ministry of Unification of South Korea from 2005 2015 before sanctioning it. And first project is environment and water resources, energy, transportation, statistics. It's 18 projects from the period of 5 to 6. And second project is energy, environment, transportation, and regional integration. Is 20 projects. So all from the Korean government funding. But it's UN fund to the implementing to the and North Korea. But exchange, human resource or something capacity building program is not only Pyongyang. It's Cambodia, Vietnam, so third party country because it's easy to gather for some project and inviting. And then also North Korean government or North Korean expert, they really love to be invited to the third party country. And there is a climate and environment international project from CABI. It's a Hans Zeider Foundation, IFORM, Swedish Red Cross. There is a very aid project is still going on for the development of North Korea. Its data is 2018 from the Jelliger in the Seoul and Hans Zeider. Then the European organization are conducting projects in the area of climate adaptation, mainly rural area and in the food and the forest. There is SDG goals, as you know, so I don't mention each or goals. So there is a report from the North Korea for the starting of the SDG, and then its goals, a stretch framework from the UNDP and UN agencies in Pyongyang. So 2017 and 21, for the how can get to the or achieve for the SDG goals in North Korea. And there is a midterm report for the North Korean DPRK SDG achievement. So MDGs also is they are failed because why they don't have resources and infrastructure. That's why. So I forecast North Korean SDG will be failed because why because of sanction, as you know. But they have some report what they need, and also they. It's a very interesting thing. The North Korean government they alignment with policies like North Korean, 조선, 우리 스타일, 우리식 사회주의, like 우리식 SDG goal. They mention about that, and then they try to link to the UN SDG, and there's national economic goals or national development goals like link to the SDG, and so we can alignment and then pick the SDG and then North Korean NDG, national development goals. There is a UNFCCC, INDC. INDC is like a national, international, national dignity the contribution for it's like a GHG, greenhouse gas reduction. There is a goals for like a 40.25. It's first INDC from North Korea. It was very ambitious, over 40, because why? Before South Korean government, the first NDC South Korean is 38 something. So that's why it's quite interesting. And also they have second NDC from North Korea to the UN center. I mean the headquarters for their goals, and it's very ambitious also. But there's a quite in Korean government. So Korea is like economic system is very similar to the German case, because why it's manufacturing is very important, high position, and steel industry and car industry, shipbuilding industry is is very high carbon in the based in industry. That's why South Korean government is very shy for there's a say there's a carbon neutrality. That's why Korean government they say that carbon neutrality just only 4 years ago. But there is areas of climate technology cooperation with high potential things. The priority reduction measures of North Korea, they have 14 requirements of there's mitigation projects. First one is the reduction loss from the electronic power, things of 6%, and constructions of 2,000 megawatt nuclear power plant. It's very dangerous things because why, it's sanctions because why, and also photovoltaic systems. So so I make the kind of project with experts from South Korean, R&D experts. It's like a national, government funded research institutes. So I have 15 expert for the FGI focus group interview. From them, there's a priority reduction measures, and then so I linked, matchmaking for the how can we make it, from the Korean technology. There is a potential area of the collaboration. So, but we should resolve the sanction. But after the peace mood, we can make it the kind of a project with the UN body. Thank you for listening.